All right, everybody, let's get started with days 7 through 9. We're going to start with Kazuma because he is the most disappointing of the Kisei bunch. With no question. Maybe the most disappointing guy in the whole division so far. The match against Abi was pretty straightforward. Abi just hit him, knocked him back, got the hands on the neck, kept pushing his neck up, and basically showed that he was better at pushing than 450-pound Kazuma. Good for Abi. Now, Kazuma's been getting knocked around quite a bit this basho, but it's been happening a little bit more and a little bit more as more people realize that he has vulnerabilities. But once Abi did this, we could see Nishiki Fuji and Kiroshima really go after it. Now, there was also a comment on today's post where somebody said, why does Kazuma keep opting into the grapple when he's such a good pusher? And I said, I don't think he's really been opting into it. He has been sort of getting forced into it. Well, let's get on to this Nishiki Fuji fight then. Because they have the Tachi, and Kazuma he doesn't push at first. He just hits him with his chest, and they're instantly in the grapple. So he certainly accepted it here more than I kind of realized at the time. So I went back and I looked at all of his matches from this basho so far. And apart from Daiseisan on day 1, the only person who or I should say Nishiki Fuji is the first fight where he really clearly opted into a grapple. All the other ones he was either pushing or like with Shishi and Takeru Fuji, they sidestepped and he got forced into a grapple that he didn't want. Now against Onokatsu, he was more pushy. He appeared to be trying to keep Onokatsu's hands off of him. So this is the first time where he's sort of gone, okay, let's just grapple it up. And he's not a bad grappler. Like, this is not like a Fuji Ryoga situation where his grappling is atrocious. It's just, if he can get into the grapple in a position that he wants, he does fine, usually. But if his opponent gets inside and like gets his arms underneath Kazuma's, gets him in a position that he doesn't want, he does a very poor job of coming back from that. So I'm guessing that's why he's sort of opting into the grapple here. That and Abi just beat his ass and he might not want to take that again. But anyway, Kazuma locks up Nishiki Fuji. He gets pushed back to the Chura. Like I said, Kazuma's been getting pushed around a lot more than you would expect. I mean, these guys are obviously strong enough to move around dudes Kazuma's size, but I think he has not really experienced this level of just getting moved against his will before. So this seems like it's coming as a surprise and he doesn't really know what to do with it. If we bounce it forward a little bit, oh, that was a little too far. So Kazuma starts pushing him, you know what, let's go back to where he actually breaks out of the grapple. Because I skipped way too far. So he pulls up, he gets Nishiki Fuji going back, Nishiki Fuji fights back, but Kazuma just kind of overpowers him and knocks him over. Now, this is what I think Kazuma expects to happen in the grapple most of the time against much smaller opponents, which is most opponents. And that would go a long way to explaining why, against Kiroshima, they get into a little bit of a push at first, so he pushes him back, and then once Kiroshima pulls him down and gets him to the Chura, Kazuma's very happy to get in this grapple. This looks just like against Nishiki Fuji, and he's got to feel like if he's patient and he looks for an opening, yeah, Kiroshima has a good wrestling position against him, but he'll find a way. He'll figure something out, right? And there's no reason for him to not think that. Like, he's proven to himself and to everyone else, again and again and again, that he can win from this position in a lot of cases. There he tries a move, doesn't really do anything, but that's okay. He's just got to stay patient, right? He's just got to hang with Kiroshima, make sure Kiroshima doesn't pull any nonsense. And then Kiroshima tries to kick him. Now, here, I'm going to back up just a second. So, when Kiroshima's kick fails, this looks great for Kazuma. This looks like he's about to launch Kiroshima. He's either going to turn him into the Gyoji and send them both into row 5, or Kiroshima's going to hit the bleachers, right? And then Kiroshima gets away, gets his arms on Kazuma's right arm, gets his hands on Kazuma's right arm, and Kazuma just runs right past him. Like, this is not good control by Kazuma. His footwork is terrible. Yes, that is a lot of inertia given his size, but he's got to do better than this in controlling his weight, in controlling his movement. He can't run this far past an opponent in that kind of position. And once he turns around, okay, he catches Chio. This still looks pretty good. It still looks like Chio's about to go flying. Chio hits him with the slap. Okay. This is still not bad. And then Chio just pulls him down, probably because Kazuma is exhausted. This is, like, it was a great win. I shouldn't stop with it at the back of his head. This is a really good win by Chio. And Kazuma was, like, kept rubbing his eyes here at the end of the fight. Chio, I didn't notice a whole bunch of slaps because he is prone to doing that sometimes. I wouldn't be surprised if I just wasn't paying that close attention and he poked Kazuma in the eye a few times. But yeah, that is not a great job by Kazuma, but I can understand why he thought the grapple would work, why he was okay ending up there. He just, when he finally got a position where he could really push, he just didn't keep enough control over his feet and lost the opportunity. That's really what happened here. I was thinking about making this a little bit of a quicker thing, trying to make this go a little bit quicker, and we're already at like 7 minutes of recording. So, Ooooh and Fujiseiun. This one was not that interesting. Fujiseiun just overwhelms Ooooh. He's a newer face in Makuuchi, but this is what he does, and he can do it to a lot of guys. That is what it is. I'm actually going to skip ahead to day 9 and Wakamoto Haru, because Wakamoto Haru just had nothing. He had nothing, or beat him in a way that he never really should. Waka is not okay. There's not much to talk about here. Good win for Ooooh. But now let's get into this Papa Bear fight, because this one was... The fact Ooooh won wasn't shocking. He's beaten Takayasu plenty of times, but the way he won was kind of stunning. So, and he did threaten one of his crazy moves. So he hits Takayasu. He's got the arm trap, right? He's got that left arm trap. Takayasu can't do anything with it. And then, oh, Takayasu has been here before. Takayasu has gotten fireman carry flipped on his head more than once by Ooooh. He's got to know that this is a potential problem, and he doesn't want it to happen again. So he pulls his arm down, he fights against it, and then Ooooh's got him so stood up, so straight up. And Takayasu's trying, I'm going to back up a couple seconds. Takayasu's trying so hard to get that left hand in. He wants that left hand, and he just can't keep his feet. He can't keep his feet, though, because of Ooooh. If we pay attention to Ooooh's right hand, he's got it on the back of Takayasu's knee. That's why Takayasu loses his balance. It's, even though he doesn't get like a highlight finish, it's a terrific move. It's a great, for being 1 in 6, he's never quitting. He's always pulling out all the stops. Great win for Ooooh. Takayasu, I know a lot of us are like, Takayasu Yusho. But this is not a choke loss by any means, which I know we've been, as fans, we might have seen that a few times. But no, this was perfectly fine. Like, Takayasu, you're gonna lose matches like this, right? Ask Hoshoryu, ask Kiroshima. We'll get to Kiroshima later. Kimbozan doesn't even have 3 fights to talk about because he got the walkover against Wakano Sho, which put him at 5-2, and it's like, well, you know, being lucky and better than usual, it's certainly a way to be successful. Much like with Ooooh, I'm skipping ahead to day 9 because this one was, he finally got a good push, he got Asahakuru going back, and he was able to turn that into the win. Now let's back that up a little bit. So, off the Tachiai, I'm actually going to frame by frame this. I'm using something called Pot Player. It's working out better than I expected. So, he gets up, he pushes. Now Asahakuru fights it off. Okay, cool. But his neck is pushed back, his balance is back. He's got to bring his weight forward purposefully just to try and resist this push. So Kimbozan, he gets the forearm across, it's not great, but then he gets to the belt, and Asahakuru is already going backwards. That's really the critical thing. Kimbozan gets the opponent moving backwards, like realizing they're going back. When your head goes back, that sets your mind going back. I know that might sound a little nutty, if you get your neck snapped back, like, you are very protective of your head and neck just as a human being. So somebody attacks that, you're like, get me out of here, right? It takes a lot of training to fight against that to a point where you can go forward. So when Kimbozan successfully attacks that, he puts a little bit of not just physical momentum, but mental momentum into his opponent going backwards. And then from there, he just grabs the belt and he just finishes it off. Kimbozan is fine on the belt when he's got that momentum advantage. He's just not that great at turning a losing position on the belt into a win. So the Tachiai is everything for Kimbozan. This one was really good. He got the win. Awesome. But then we've got this absolute maniac fight against Shishi. So they go, the Tachiai, like, they're pushing. So one thing I noticed, back it up a bit, one thing I noticed going over Shishi's January matches is that, like, I thought he just keeps his body low because he keeps his body low. He, not every time, but most of the time, he actually tries to target getting his head underneath his opponents. And because a lot of his opponents are pretty tall, it doesn't stand out, but then he does it against somebody shorter. Like, he did it once against Fujinokawa, and it was like, wait a second. This is a very purposeful thing, more so than I realized. So he wants to get his head under Kimbozan's and either push or get the belt. Once he's there, he'll be happy, but Kimbozan keeps pushing him away. Shishi is just like a zombie, though. Coming forward, I don't want to say zombie like mindless, but zombie like an unstoppable forward force, especially when he's really feeling it. So he comes forward, and Kimbozan is just trying to make him go back. And as much as he's able to do that, he just sends him to one side and then the other. But Shishi, all he does is refuse to go out. He hangs on for dear life constantly against everyone, except though, like, okay, Kazuma, he got a pretty good win. But sometimes he'll get a nice quick win, but if he doesn't, he is just hanging on to not lose. Kimbozan swings him around again, and now Shishi finally gets him going backwards. And then when he's got the momentum moving, then he's able to finish it off. He doesn't care how long it takes. He doesn't care what he's got to go through to get that winning position. As long as he can hang on, he's happy that he'll do that. In any case, a good fight from Kimbozan. It just didn't work out. He's still doing well, though. And now we talk about Chura and Umi. And the first two fights, days 7 and 8, are worth talking about, but you know why we're really here. So Ichi gets his hands on Chura's neck. Chura is attacking Ichi's arms, but then Ichi gets his hand under Chura's arms, and he's longer. He might be stronger. I don't know. They're both pretty strong, though. And that reach advantage combined with basically using Chura's strategy against him, Ichi gets the win. Straightforward, cool, we move on. Gonoyama gets the initial push, as you'd expect, and Chura actually, I want to point this out because this is something that I said in the breakdown Chura doesn't really do, but he actually uses it to good effect here. He gets pushed back, he pushes under Gonoyama's right arm, he's coming after him, Gonoyama's going back, and there, Shishi gets that, or not she, oh my god, Chura no Umi gets his hand up on Gonoyama's face. He doesn't do this that much. He really doesn't. But here, it works out beautifully because Gonoyama's weight starts going backwards and he's able to finish it off. Really nice win. Really good timing on that one major attack. Awesome. This is how Chura wins fights. He should get blown out by Gonoyama in a push fight. Gonoyama is simply better at it when you get down to the basics of be strong, be mean, do push. But Chura's strategies are quite effective against him. And now the Kiroshima fight. And thank God this thing was short, because if it was longer, but this interesting, I would spend way too long talking about it. So you get the Tachiai, and I'm going to be pausing a lot here. So Chura's got that left hand down near Kiri's belt. Okay, fine. Now we have talked about how Chura wants to get that belt. He attacks that belt every time. But Kiri was one of the guys who was able to push through the attack. Well, here, Kiri's right arm is to the outside of Chura's left. So that any push he tries to get is going to be less effective than what we saw in the breakdown. And in fact, Chura is hanging onto it. Chura has the belt. Kiri should be able to not allow this to happen. Chura should not be able to pull this off against Kiroshima, but he did. And now Kiri is pulling up on the left arm to keep him from being able to use the leverage of that belt grip. Okay, so Kiri gets bent down over Chura no Umi. So let's back this up a little bit, and we're going to frame by frame this, because when it goes, so Chura pulls his weight backwards a little bit, and Kiri just starts shoving. He starts getting Chura moving it backwards. That grip, I would not want that man's grip on my arm like that, because that has got to suck. But Chura is hanging on to the belt. We keep going. He's just pulling up on the belt. He's using everything. I was going to say he's using everything he's got, but that really is all he's got right now. But he's using it. Kiri cannot fully attack with a man pulling a piece of fabric up across his balls at full strength. So Kiri flings the arm aside. But let's back this up. If we watch it at full speed, I showed it in slow-mo so you can see that it happens. We're going to back up a little bit further. But when the arm fling comes, it seems pretty clear that Chura does not get thrown. He accepts that Kiri is pushing his arm aside and just lets it fly and does not allow Kiri to get any real leverage off it. So watch. He goes, and Kiri, it's so fast, but Chura is able to get the arm back because his body didn't get turned by Kiri throwing it aside. That's important, because Chura is now able to react to what Kiri does. Now Kiri comes in. Now this should still be a good position. This looks like Kiri's about to launch him. But Chura, he lands and he immediately steps back. And you see how Kiri is leaning forward so hard? He expected Chura to be right there. So if we back up, Chura is here. Kiri launched himself at him, expecting Chura to be in about this position. So when Kiri actually gets to where he would make contact there, Chura is much further back, and now Kiri is overextended. Now, could he win from there if he can control his feet? Maybe. But then Chura, it's hard to see here. There's a replay angle I'll show in a moment where Chura, it's pretty clear Chura throws down the arm, and that's what leads to the win. Chura does. Ono Sato needs to learn this. Just ballet that shit on the Tawara until your opponent is down and get that win. If we look at the replay, so Kiri, he throws the arm aside, Chura pivots back, and Kiri does push the leg a little bit, but it's not like he screwed himself over. Chura was already pivoting back. And then, frame by frame, Chura just whack right down on the arm. Kiri might have recovered if not for that. So we'll watch it at full speed and just keep in mind what to look for. Chura gets the belt. Kiri clings onto the arm to try to prevent him from using the belt grip. Kiri flings the arm aside. Chura accepts it, steps away, lets Kiri throw himself into space, and then hits his arm to finish the match. Boom, grab. Kiri runs forward, or pushes forward, flings the arm, and down he goes. Once again, Chura no Umi baited Kiroshima into beating himself. That is, I mean, as good as Kiroshima is, and as much as I have focused on him being very good physically, but maybe a little bit less than Yokozuna level, the fact that he is not unstoppable in matches like this, and he can lose matches like this, he doesn't have this room for error. So his Yokozuna run is over unless he finishes undefeated, unless he goes 6-0 all the way to the end. So enjoy that, Kiri fans. Sorry. All right, it's time for the next set of odds. Let's actually make this a little bit bigger. Sumo database has been down all day, so I'm using Sumo stats for this. Now, on the left, I've got a gap so I can cut and paste guys up into the space. I have everybody who is 7-2 or better, or is 6-3 and in the joy. I probably am going to leave Daisho out, but let's go through it. Yeah, so Daisho, I'm going to actually put Daisho still got to fight the Yokozuna, or well, he fought Hoshoryu. We still got to fight a lot of the Sanyaku. So I'm going to acknowledge Daisho is in that joy position, but he's at 0%. He doesn't have it, which I probably don't need to mention that Nishiki Fuji and Kimbozan are not going to end up on this list for a similar reason. At the lower end, so Atami Fuji would have to win out. Hoshoryu, I can't go below 5% for Hoshoryu, but man, that's going to be a tough ride. It's just we've seen him do stuff like this before. Let's see. Who do we want to do next? Hakuno Fuji at 7-2. Do I like his chances better than Hoshoryu's? Not really. So he's lost in the last few days. So I'm going to put him at 4%. Aonishiki, we got to have at the top, right? I mean, that's without a question. Aonishiki has to go at the top. We're going to start him where he was previously at 33%. And Kiroshima, I mean, 7-2 is still really good. I want to try and base this on how good the wrestler is and not on how likely they are to choke a big match. But with Kiri, the last couple bashos, man, it's hard to ignore, right? Let's say Kiri is at 20%. That I'm probably gonna, no, let's say 25. He's just too good. And if he can get one big win, like if he can beat, I'm not thinking of who he's likely to fight first. Probably like Aonishiki, or I don't know. If he can get one big win, he might be able to turn that into others. But we'll see. Atami Fuji is 6-3. You know, he's been to the promised land of the playoff before, so we'll give him a 1%, but it's not looking very good for him. Takayasu at 7-2. Is he better, or you know what? I'm gonna put him equal with Hakuno Fuji. Like the way things would have to play out, because actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put Takayasu at 4, and then Hoshoryu at, we'll say 6, just so he's above, and then Hakuno Fuji at 5, because Hakuno Fuji has fought some of the Sanyaku already, and Takayasu has not. Although we know Takayasu can beat a lot of those guys, the fact he hasn't had those tough matches yet makes his odds a little bit worse. So we'll get Takayasu off the list. Asano Yama at 7-2, he's just too beat up. I want to respect his experience, but he's... I almost want to put Atami Fuji at 2% just to make a point that he's got a better chance than Asano Yama. But I think neither one of them have very good odds. Let me pull that list up because this didn't work out the way I expected it to. Kotoeho, Takeru Fuji, and Shishi. We'll do Shishi at 3%. Because even at 8-1, are you really going to argue that he's got at least as good a chance as Takayasu? Because I can't see it. His hang on and pray is good against guys who don't know what to do against it, but the guys he's going to fight, the longer he remains in contention, will absolutely know what to do about it. Takeru Fuji, even though he's one win behind, I'd say he's about equal with Shishi. Because he's been there and his style looks more like he has a better ability to make it work again and again against tough opposition. Like he's just improving with it. But Kotoeho, is he ahead of Hakuno Fuji? I think he has to be. Like, in terms of pure ability, I still would like Hakuno Fuji to beat more top opponents than Kotoeho. Actually, Hakuno Fuji's got to fight Kiroshima on day 10. And that is going to effectively knock one of them out of contention. Even though whoever loses is at 3 losses and still has a perfectly good chance of staying in the race, that's going to be a real bad loss for whoever takes it. So I think Hakuno Fuji, and they're 3-3 against each other. As you can see, Hakuno Fuji won the last one between them, but that was when Kiri was kind of collapsing at the end of May, which he's done, again, the last couple bashos. Kiri won the 2 before that, and Hakuno Fuji took advantage of 2025 Kiri being a little bit more on the injured side. So I do like Kiroshima in this matchup. So Kiri, so if Hakano Fuji, if I think he's going to lose this, then his odds are still not that great. So we're going to leave Hakano Fuji where he is. Kotoeho, I'm going to put Kotoeho on that level because he hasn't fought any Sanyaku matches, and as good as he's been, too many of those guys have the ability to knock him off that perch. The thing that keeps him, you know what? No, I think I'm gonna bump him up. I'm gonna bump him and Hoshoryu up. Where are we at right now? So we've got 1, 2, and then that's 6. So that's 8, 12. 12 and 11 is 23. 23 and 25 is 48. 48 and 33 is 81. So we got a lot of room to play with here. All right, so let's say Hoshoryu has a 10% chance. So that leaves 15% to play with. I don't want to screw that up again. I'm going to put Kotoeho at 8% because he's been so good, and he's shown the way he beat Fujiryoga after Fujiryoga had simply overpowered him in their other 3 matches. He's turning, I think I said this, I know I said this at some point, but I can't remember when. He seems like he's turned a physical corner. And as long as he doesn't get hurt along the way, I think he can beat at least a couple of guys that we would not necessarily expect him to beat. As long as he gets his day 10 win and goes to 9-1 before meeting the Sanyaku, at that point, all he needs to do is go 3-2 to go 12-3. It's going to be tough, and I need to see at least one of those wins happen before I really believe, but I think he's ahead of everyone else except the most proven guys. So that's okay. 2, 8, 12, 17, 25, 35, 60, 93. So we've got 7% more to work with, and I'm just going to give it to Aonishiki. Onosato is out of it, and he just fought Onosato. If his health is good enough, he's at least a coin flip against Hoshoryu. And who else is really a threat besides Kiroshima? And Kiroshima is only a threat. He's not even a favorite. So with Aonishiki at 8 wins, if he was 7-2, I still might have him as the favorite. But at 8-1, he's got to be the favorite going away. He definitely has the best odds of taking this thing. Really, the most likely issue that flares up is not any opponent, but his foot and his ankle. As long as he's able to keep that from being too much of an issue, he's definitely the guy to beat. All right, that is days 7-9 for Kisei and the Yusho race. One more to go on day 12. I will see you then. Peace.